It is the 4th of May 2023, and these are some of the stories that made headlines on Capital News. My name is Susan Nyawera. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Njuguna Ndung'u is expected to deliver the 2023/2024 budget statement in Parliament on June 8th. The Treasury Cabinet Secretary has in the meantime asked members of the public to submit their contributions and ideas on economic policy and tax measures. He says the proposals should be shared with the National Treasury by the close of business on Friday next week. New Life Church pastor Ezekiel Odero has been released on a 1.5 million cash bail after the court found that there was no compelling reason to detain him. Shanzu Senior Principal Magistrate Joe Omido, who threw out an application by the state to continue holding the pastor for 30 more days, gave him an alternative bond of 3 million shillings. Pastor Ezekiel had already spent 7 days in police custody at Port Police. Odero, a wealthy televangelist who boasts a huge following, is being investigated on a raft of charges including murder, aiding suicide, abduction, radicalization, crimes against humanity, child cruelty, fraud, and money laundering. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has praised the role played by Kenya in promoting regional peace. Guterres said the United Nations appreciates Kenya's role in Somalia, DRC, Ethiopia, and Sudan in the search for lasting peace. He made the remarks at State House, Nairobi, during a banquet dinner hosted for him and the United Nations Chief Executive Board last evening by President William Ruto.
I visited Somalia many times, and I know the very important role that Kenya has always played in relation to the stabilization of Somalia and in relation to the fight against terrorism in this part of the world. And I could go on and on with South Sudan, with your active diplomacy with Eritrea, probably one of the most complex diplomatic efforts ever made by an African head of state. Indeed, I have to say that what Kenya is doing and what you are doing is a remarkable example of how we are able in the world to solve problems, to bring peace, and to address the dramatic conflicts that we all face and are having such negative consequences in relation to the stability and the economy of the whole world.
Gunfire and explosions gripped Khartoum for a 20th straight day on Thursday, leaving the latest ceasefire efforts in tatters. As the latest ceasefire expired at midnight Wednesday, the regular army said it was ready to abide by a new 7-day truce agreed with South Sudanese mediators, but there was no word from its foes in the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. In Khartoum, witnesses reported loud explosions and exchanges of fire on the streets around dawn. For these and more stories, visit www.capitalfm.co.ke/news. My name is Susan Nyawera.